Dr. Owusu Ocho. It's Dr. O for the 804. As the premier knee and hip shoulder sports surgeon in Virginia, I would like to remind you that health equals power. Sports build and uplift communities, nothing else can. The mission of sports medicine is to keep athletes of all ages and levels at the top of their game. Dr. O is located at Ortho, Virginia, Schrader Road office location. Appointments can be scheduled online at orthovirginia.com or by calling 804-939-6688. You can follow Dr. O on Instagram at Dr. O _ for the 804 and uplifting educational content about sports health.
Hi everyone, I'm Coach Rick Stockel. I am co-owner of Newman & Dunn Real Estate here in Central Virginia, as well as I am a high school boys basketball coach at Monacan High School. I've sold over 1,300 homes here in Central Virginia, and I would love to work with you and your family in your home buying needs. I am a proud primary sponsor of Ballin' in Virginia, and I hope you enjoy this show.
Yeah, man, I appreciate Rick Stockel for sponsoring the show today. He's a great guy, great coach, great realtor here in Virginia. Make sure you give him a call or check out his website over at rickstockel.com if you're looking for any homes in Virginia. Thanks again, and let's get into this episode. Okay. Welcome to another episode of BallinVA. And today, for my young athletes and parents, I have Joy Harris from the Score brand. How you doing, Joy?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much for having me.
My pleasure. I want to first shout out Marcus Lewis from Verona for setting up this interview. Definitely. And he thought that it would be perfect. I guess we was talking about NIL deals with Armando Baycott from here from UNC. And he said that you would be perfect to come in to help these young athletes talk about the things that can help make them some money in and outside of college sports. So
shout out to Marcus. No wonder Verona's so good because he cares.
That's right, he does. Marcus do care. So like I said, he's been on here several times, and actually he's going to be on here Monday. So yeah. So we're going to get into this thing. So my first question for you would be, what is Score?
So Score is a brand that was created to close the gap for high school and college athletes with finances and careers. So the whole goal is to make sure that we can segue young athletes into financial opportunities as well as career opportunities inside of sports.
Okay. So in other words, we want to talk about, you kind of help them, put them in the direction of trying to help the athletes get paid.
Yeah, and not just get paid, but also getting job opportunities inside of sports. A lot of athletes play ball 6, 7, 8, 9 years. And then after that, unfortunately, they don't end up with a career in ball off the field.
Right.
They even end up with a job occupation in the front office or in the back office for that matter. So not just getting paid for the ball that you play, but also making sure that you have a career in sports that you love and have dedicated your life to for all this time.
And that's it, because a lot of times, us as parents, we kind of drive our kids, whether it's female or male, into, we just want to kind of get them to kind of get that scholarship so the parent don't have to pay for that, and there's so many things that kind of goes into that, whether it's D1, D2, D3, you have to, I guess it's partially paid, or I think the parent has to pay somewhat of it. I'm not really too sure about that, but we just want to be able to just educate these kids, because in this area, 804 is a rich area. Yeah. I want to say 757 is also even great with what they do, 703, so the entire state. But today I want everybody to know, across the country, whoever's going to watch this, Joy is going to break down some stuff. We had great off the camera conversation about some stuff, but we're going to kind of probably get back into that too. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to go ahead and put this thing down. So NIL deals, that's the kind of hot topic right now.
Yeah.
Kind of give us some information, or give us your take on, what that's all about. Because it's still, I always tell people, I don't really know too much about it.
Right.
So I want you to be able to give, your take on it.
So I'll give a breakdown of what it is. I'll also talk a little bit about what it is not.
Okay.
And maybe some myths around NIL. So essentially what happened is the NCAA, that regulates all college sports pretty much, got sued. And in the lawsuit, it came out that the NCAA could not impede or stop education-related payments.
Okay.
That kind of cracked the door open because up until that point, which is 2001 or 2021, I'm like way back when, no college athlete could get paid while they played, right?
Right.
And I like to use the example of that a lot of people are familiar with is Destroying, who is a big YouTuber that a lot of kids know about.
Okay.
And so Destroying was a kicker for a football team in college. He started a YouTube channel and he made ad revenue for that YouTube channel, his own YouTube channel. And so when the college found out about it, they said, hey, you can't have the channel or you can't play ball. You got to pick one. And he ended up not being able to go to school there because he wanted to keep his YouTube channel.
Right.
Fast forward, what the NIL did is said, okay, you can make money off of your name, image, and likeness.
That's right.
So essentially, all college and high school athletes everywhere, I say everywhere in air quotes, had the opportunity to be an influencer. So they were able to jump in the game just like any other YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, social media influencer. And if you know anything about the world of social media, there are hundreds, if not thousands of people making really great income off of being themselves, having brand collaborations, and also having brand deals. So NIL just opened the door for athletes to be able to do that.
Okay. You know, and now, and I think I was talking to you yesterday that I've seen some states are now not only just in college, it's trickling down to high school.
Yeah.
So can you give us a breakdown about that? You know,
Yes.
I think Virginia is one of the states now that's passed that, right?
Yes. So the NCAA pretty much deferred to states and said, okay, this new rule that's out, but we're not going to tell you what to do. We're going to kick it over to the states and y'all figure out what y'all want to do.
Right.
And then like legislation, you kick the can down the road as much as possible. And so some states started deferring to colleges and saying, all right, well, you figure out what you want to do with it. And so slowly states it's getting on their radar, and some states are coming out with official rulings saying, like Virginia, all right, now it's open for colleges and high schools. New York said, okay, it's open, but you have to submit your brand deal to the college for them to approve it. So that's a little testy. Other states are quiet on it and haven't said anything. My rule of thumb is no rules means I have the rules. So, get in while you can.
That's right.
And before states figure out, how to get tax dollars off it, which you do have to pay taxes. It's not free money, so you do have to pay taxes.
That's a key point. That's a key point.
It's an opportunity for students to actually earn money while they play ball. And, out of all of this came things called collectives. And essentially what collectives are alumni groups that a bigger college had. Some people call them boosters, where they said, okay, well, the school can't pay you directly for playing because under NIL, that still isn't allowed. So a school, technically, again in air quotes, school can't pay you to play. So they can't give you money to play the game, and they can't give you money to incentivize you. So they can't say, hey, if you score this many touchdowns or this many field goals or you shoot this many baskets, I'm going to pay you this much more money.
Right.
You're not supposed to do that. Collectives got formed and said, all right, we're going to make up businesses or pool together brand deals for students as a way to attract them to our schools. So that was a workaround of the colleges. In Florida right now, colleges are actually trying to get a law passed to allow them to distribute the money for NIL. So they're actually trying to cut out collectives in Florida so that the colleges can run the money, because colleges are smart, because humans are smart.
Right.
And so the colleges understand that, man, we're losing recruits
Yep.
because they're going to different places, which, Florida is a big sports state. And so anytime one state figures out how to do something,
The rest
other
can
states
follow.
follow. So I always say, right now, while it's open, get in while it's open, as wide as it is open, before legislators and colleges who have deep pockets get in the pot and figure out how to make it work to their advantage.
Right. Because right now, like I said, it's just a free fall, and pretty much you can kind of just, because I don't really think that pretty much anybody has really figured out, really, how to distribute the money, like you said. But I'm telling you, because something's going to change. Once these schools start figuring it out, and like you said, they can divvy out the money how they want to divvy it out.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Interesting. I saw not too long ago, probably I want to say the end of football season, state of Maryland, I think the high school athletes can get paid or something like that. I'm not sure what it was about.
Yeah.
I think the coaches can actually get paid. I don't even give me started. I should have had my homework and kind of brought that upon. As me and you were talking, I thought they was going to probably take away from the purity of the game. Give your input on why you say that, because we was talking about that.
Definitely. And I think purity, the word purity is somewhat of an old school word. The example I like to give is, the generation before me, because they didn't have that many opportunities, were really big on, hey, you get your government job, it pays you benefits, and you go to work every day, you do what you're told, and then you go home, because they didn't have opportunity.
Right.
And then younger millennial generation said, oh, we can be scientists and astronauts and engineers. We can work from home if we want to.
Yep.
And so I don't have to get the government job that I don't actually really like. I can be an entrepreneur. These were opportunities that were not as open to a older generation.
Right.
And so I think when I hear parents and older generations say it's taken away from the purity, I think they don't keep in mind that younger generations have choices.
Right.
And they have options. I also think that you can play ball and make money. I think you have general managers and coaches. The coaches get a salary.
Right.
Right? Like Nick Saban would argue down he's a great coach.
Right.
I don't think there are that many people alive that would say he's not a great coach.
Right.
He gets paid. Does that make him less of a good coach?
No.
No. It makes him a great coach. And it probably makes him a better coach that he can pay his bills and take care of his family and eat lunch on a regular basis.
And do what he loves to do.
And do what he loves to do. So athletes who really love the game, love the game.
That is true.
Athletes who want to play. I think I heard Merritte Carter, who's in LeBron's squad, he said he's a CEO. He's like, every now and then I still air dribble. Like, athletes who love ball. Just because they make money, they don't love ball less. Right. And I think we get confused that now young athletes have choices, and that's all it is. They have a choice like, oh, I can actually put gas in my car and eat lunch and maybe buy a pair of sneakers that I like and pay my phone bill and then go and play. They can actually concentrate on the game. It's not out of desperation. I think sometimes we confuse desperation with hunger. Like you're playing because you have to. That works a little bit, but that stress that gets added is why we see so much calamity happen with athletes.
Yeah.
And so I think we have to change the conversation that being stable does not mean you are not pure. Like, you're not a sellout if you actually can take care of your business. And
that guys, for me, like I told you, and that's, you broke that down excellent. Haven't heard anybody break it the way down the way you did, because my only thing was, and I guess, I want to see people get paid, but I also want to kind of see the competitors, and when I say the purity, the competitiveness stay to where you still want to compete.
Yes.
Because sometimes people's like, you know what, I ain't even got to do this much. I got this brand deal over here, so I ain't really got to go hard, especially if the coach piss them off. So that's what I would just kind of say. But like you said, the ones who want to do that, they will still go hard, because I didn't know that a lot of these athletes, I think they get like a stipend or something. I think it was maybe like $1,000 or something. Anybody can correct me if I'm wrong. You can put in the comments and everything like that. But he was like, one of the athletes, I can't think his name, but he was like, yeah, we only get this, and then we don't get this, and then I can't even, eat some days. I'm like, we putting all this time into this school, but I don't even have enough money to eat for the week.
So let's touch on, because you talked about this a little bit earlier, which is scholarships.
Okay.
So it typically depends on what you negotiate when you're getting recruited. So for a lot of parents, we think getting to the college or getting recruited is the end of the road. And that's actually the beginning.
That's the beginning.
And so when you're getting recruited, that's when you have the most leverage to advocate for your student athlete. Okay. What a lot of parents don't know is most all D1 colleges have something called merit scholarships. Right. Merit scholarships are, it doesn't matter if you play ball, if you don't play ball, the school has money designated based on typically what your GPA is, what your SAT or ACT scores are. Sometimes they're waiving that. Look at Yale. Duke has a whole other thing where they just like pick, based on who they think can have it. Theirs is not based on grades at all. And so you can have money that contributes to that tuition, room and board, right? So you're not totally dependent on the college for money. But if you don't know, you don't ask, right? And so you
That is true.
That's number one. Number two, when you're getting recruited, you need to ask questions like, what happens when there is a break from school? Who handles transportation? What happens if my player is injured? Who handles their medical expenses? What happens if my player is injured? Are they still allowed to be on the team and participate on the team?
Okay.
So all these things that happen, I'm not going to say are the fault of the parent, because sometimes it's just ignorance and you don't know.
Right, we don't know.
You don't ask the questions. There's nobody there to advocate for your student but you. The college is advocating for the college. And I'm not hating on the college. I think they should, like every business. Like I own a business, so I am in the best interest of the
business, always.
And a college is a business. And if you don't advocate for your student, then you don't get your student in their best position possible. So if colleges weren't pushed to, we have to make sure to leave the cafeteria open because our athletes come back late.
Right.
They're not thinking about
They're not thinking about
thinking
that.
about, hey, I have to keep the program going and I have to keep the funds coming in. And sports, a lot of times, are the big ticket item that funds a large percentage of the school. So the world of getting your athlete a scholarship is like the entry door. And you have to be making sure that you're thinking about, okay, once they get there, what do they need? And then let me talk about that in the recruitment process so I can get them what they need.
Well, you know what? I'm gonna stop right here. First of all, what made you decide to get into understanding this type of the business of the NIL deals and stuff like this? What was kind of like your motivation to get into it?
So two things happened. First, my son he's in middle school now, so he played flag football. We had a couple of family members who played football, who played basketball. I have a cousin who played for the Lakers a little bit, and me being very observant, and I've been an entrepreneur for a very long time. I started looking at, we like all of these kids are going off to play, and all of them are kind of following the same cycle. Like they put all this time in, and then they go to college, and they don't make any money, and then they come back. And with my son, we have kind of a running joke. I was like let's do like badminton or something. Like you're gonna have less casualties. You're not gonna hit as much. Like we're not gonna do football.
Right.
He's like, no, I really want to play. And so in good faith, as a parent, I was like, this just doesn't make sense to me. Like you can make more money doing what I'm doing over here for less like time, energy, your body. So in good faith, as a parent, I was like, I can't just like ship you off over here. This doesn't make any sense. And so I was talking to a big agency out of New York, actually BallinVA Media, about some other stuff. And I was kind of like pitching like, this is happening in sports and this is happening in sports and this makes no sense to me. And you're like, all this money is changing hands, And essentially they were like, hey, you should do something about it. And so when people say like, you should do something about it, I was like, oh, okay. And then the more I started digging, I was like, this is like lightweight crazy. But the more I became educated, the more I realized there are a lot of people who are way more vested in the sport who are not educated. And because sports are so passionate and people have so much passion around it, sometimes it's hard to get people to see the business side of it.
Right.
And I always say, like, I have no dog in the fight. I'm not an agent, right? So I'm not making a commission off of somebody if they make some money. My goal is just to get people to the bag.
Right.
I make no money if you get to the bag. I want you to get to the bag because I think just as a good human, identifying things that are wrong, I'm like, hey, waving the flag to say somebody get to the bag, right? And then I think karma is real. So the more good that I do, I'm hoping that me and mine benefit in some way because of that. And so I think trying to make people aware of the business side of sports, not in a way that's like, oh, the colleges are wrong and the pro leagues are wrong. I think they're right because they are business
people, right?
And because I'm an entrepreneur first, I understand.
That's right.
I'm just like in the world of entrepreneurship, in every other industry, taking care of your people always comes back better for you. You make more money, your people are happier, you have less turnover. And so we can introduce those same concepts in sports. I think that the leagues are going to be better, and I think the players are going to be better too.
Well, I want to first off, I want to get people to get your information, how to get in touch with you. I'm going to stop and say, please, everybody subscribe and like to Morrisette Media and BallinVA, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and on TikTok. This is how we keep the lights on, and we have young lady like this can come on and give this information. We definitely need you guys to subscribe and to comment. Please comment on the YouTube page, because we need to know whether it's good, bad, indifferent. We just want to know. So, Joy, can you tell people how to get in touch with you? Like, what's your handles on social media?
Yeah, the
email?
easiest way to get in touch with me is any social media, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, at The Joy Harris, TheJoyHarris. You can also send me an email. Probably if you're a parent, you're on email. If you're not, you're probably not emailing. But you can do contact at scorecon.com. That's contact CONTACT at SCORECON.com.
And we're going to have this flash on the screen. So if anybody didn't get to write that down, we're going to have it up here. So when we, come up here, so we're going to make sure that you guys contact this young lady, because I'm telling you, like, this is just a wealth of information. So to me, I'm just like soaking it all in.
Oh, thank you.
I really appreciate that. Marcus, thank you.
Thank you, Marcus.
Like now going into looking at, that's just, we was talking off air, we was talking about the $200,000 athlete.
Yeah.
And I was saying that some of these kids, I just don't know if they're able to do both. And I told you, and you gave an interesting take on that. And I was just like, why can't these kids grind so hard, but also have this option here? Like, if you know that you got this brand deal, why not still continue to grind the same way? And can you tell them exactly what was your input on that?
Yeah, two things. I gave the example. This is true for high school, college. It's less true for pros because the funnel is so small. But when you're in high school and college, every team in every sport, lacrosse, wrestling, is made up of a bench, right?
Right.
You have a handful of all-star, D1, amazing students. And then you have some A-, B+, B students, right? And you need them to round out your team. And so a lot of those students are not going to make it pro. They're just not. Not because they're not good, but because there's not that many spots, right? So statistically, 96% of the athletes who play high school or college ball are not going to go pro. So to me, the young athlete is smarter. They're saying, all right, let me make money while I can doing the thing that I do. Then also, we were talking about football specifically, the average football player plays about 3 years.
Right.
The average football player makes $200,000 a year. I know it's tons of headlines, all the people making millions of dollars.
Right.
Cool.
Right.
You put all the players together, even the players on the bench, average $200,000. So if the average player is $200,000, they play 3 years, that's $600,000. Now, that's a lot of money to the average person. I understand. That's a lot of money.
We ain't even talk about the tax part.
Yeah, we're not talking about the taxes, which there is a law, it's not called the Jordan Law, but it was made because of Michael Jordan, that the average athlete has to pay state taxes in every state that they play in. Yes, blink a lot. Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I was like, some states don't have state taxes,
good.
like Texas and Florida,
Right.
mainly.
You have about five
of them, yeah, I think.
Okay, but how many states do they play in all year?
All year round.
So you have to take out taxes, not just in the state where you live, but also in all the states that you play in. You're making $200,000. You might get traded a couple of times. You need housing, all the things.
Right.
And so why I say student athletes, this generation is a lot smarter, is because they understand, hey, I'm going to only play for a period of time anyway.
Right.
If I can get a brand deal that matches 1 year of my potential salary, I have extended the life of my money.
Right.
Because salary for athletes goes like this and then falls off the cliff. Right? It's not the same as entrepreneurship where you typically get better with time and make more money as you get older. They don't. And so the brand deal can act as a cushion so their life can continue. Because the average player is not playing, hopefully, past 30. That's if they get there.
If they get there.
Right? So you mean to tell me that I only have enough income to take care of myself from the age of 19 to 23? That's great. Most of us, we haven't even figured out
what we're going to do yet. Right.
At
That's
24, 25.
Right.
So,
and they don't even factor in if children, if something happens to life like that.
So I think athletes can grind. I think those who love ball will grind. But I also think we have to start having honest conversations. We walk in these rooms a lot, and like 96% of y'all won't make it. And coaches use that as motivation, almost like a scare tactic to be like, okay, let me work harder. But you're telling them the truth. 96% of them won't make it. So then what are they going to have? If they can make income for themselves while they're playing, because they already have a following, because they play ball.
Right.
People already are rooting for them,
right,
because they play ball. They make more engagement because they play ball. So if they can have an income that's created because of that, it's actually, it's a win-win. It's a win for them. It's a win for the business that they are endorsing. Truth be told, it's also a win for the team, because if they're more stable, if they can take care of themselves, they're probably going to show up and be a better player.
Yeah, I'm sitting there just kind of like just with me. I'm just like, wow. Let me kind of think of that, because my only thing is these brand deals only last while they're in college.
Maybe it depends on the type of deal they sign.
Okay, so so you're telling me that it's just not for college. It could be an extension past that?
It could be. If they have, let's say, okay, let's use something that people understand.
Okay.
So LeBron has a deal with Nike.
Right.
It didn't just happen his first year or his second year. It's what he signed his contract, right?
Right.
So a student athlete can do the same thing. They can have a multi-year brand deal where they work with a brand every single year. They can also have a short brand deal where they work with the brand one time for 1 month. It just depends on how they negotiate their contract. Something that's actually neat that's really happening that hasn't always trickled down to communities of color yet, but there is a brand deal that just happened recently with Mogul, I believe, which is a metaverse type of business.
Okay.
Right, Web3. And their athlete got an opportunity to sign an equity deal, which means that as a part of their brand deal, they have a piece of ownership in the business. So think about one of the reasons that Jordan became so popular and so known and his income was the way it was, is that he got a piece of the shoe.
He got a piece of the shoe, right.
And so athletes have an opportunity to now start having equity in some of these companies. That's huge. That means that after they can no longer play, they own a company that's growing year over year.
Steph Curry, name one.
Yes. Yeah. So I think instead of parents and old school and coaches sometimes shying away from like, oh, I don't know why y'all are having an NIL, we actually have to start talking about, okay, what's the financial literacy around NIL? How can we make sure that after you play your 3, 5, 7 years, that you can have residual income? Do you even know what that is?
Yeah, see, that would be my question, because say, for instance, some athletes, once they start playing, how would they be able to market that? Because if they're playing in high school or college, they're still playing. Yeah. But then what if that athlete decides to, not make it?
Yeah.
Then how would that be marketed?
So brand deals, the beautiful thing about brand deals is your brand doesn't have to just be about ball. So I always tell students when I meet them, your brand should be ball and. What are you?
Okay.
And it could be, I like bubbles or chewing gum or baseball cards, or I like video games, right? Ball is what brings people to you, but you want to give them
following.
You want to give them some more. And so just because you stop playing ball doesn't mean that all the brand deals have to dry up. Look at Mr. Beast, one of the biggest YouTubers, right? He has brand deals with a bunch of people. They're not like, oh, Mr. Beast, now you got 1 year older, so we're not coming back. So if you start early in developing what your brand is, you can incorporate multiple aspects of yourself, not just ball. Ball can be like the hook, but that doesn't have to be what keeps people there.
Oh, wow. Man, this is just, it is, because I'm sitting here thinking like, I'm sitting there listening to you, and I'm sitting up here like, all right, okay, just, this is awesome. This is like, oh my God. Ray, what you think, man? I'm loving this. I'm loving this.
I'm liking it.
Let me stop. But let's go into, I think you mentioned, we was talking about Lamar Jackson earlier, and I like your take on that. I think me and you was kind of go back and forth, and I told you, if I was Lamar Jackson, what would you say to somebody like Lamar Jackson? Right now, he don't even have an agent in regards to that. But what would you say in regards to that? Can you let people know what you was talking about?
Yeah, so we were having a conversation about should you have brand deals and should you be so focused on the business side? And I gave the example of look at Lamar Jackson, and he's kind of hung out to dry. And you were saying, well, he did that to himself, kind of. He shouldn't have played without having to play.
Yeah.
He got hurt. And I said, well, you don't know what the business conversation was before he played that year. Also, it is a business. And so when you give your all to a sport, you want to be compensated accordingly. You have other high ticket players that are, running around. And so you're like, hey, I brought more to the table or as much to the table as that player. But because it is a business, owners, general managers are always trying to watch their bottom line.
Of course.
The truth is they're going to have another class of people come in behind you. And sometimes they're willing to take the gamble to wait. And so athletes do have to be smarter about, okay, do I have other streams of revenue working? Because what we don't kind of give athletes enough credit for is when everyone else goes to college, they have the opportunity to have internships, part-time jobs, all these things in their college career, right? Athletes don't. They have training, practice, school, weights, train. Like their being on the team is absorbed almost all of their time. So they don't have the opportunity to develop other skills and other aspects of themselves like regular humans, right? And so then when they do get into these leagues, they're banking on a lot of times, this is my only check because I haven't developed anything else. I haven't had time, not because they don't want to, but what are you going to tell your coach? Hey, I'm not coming to training this morning because I'm going to go take this business class or I'm going to take this internship with this, investment banker so I can learn about investment banking. Like, you're not playing, right? So in his case, it's imperative for an athlete to have other streams of revenue, or at least be thinking about how to get it, because somebody else is in control of all of your money, right? For a large portion of the prime of your life and career.
I'm trying to figure out how is that going to work for the average high school, kid now, because you got a lot of these 15-year-old phenoms and 13-year-old phenoms, I'm trying to figure out how they're going to be able to regulate that money per se.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure it out, how they're going to do it. Because like you got now, like I was talking to a gentleman over the weekend and he was like, man, where's the pipeline in regards to having these kids coming up from middle school, having a plan for them to know which high school they're going to go to. So if you're taking this kid got all this traction coming in from middle school, going into high school, because I guess now the high school athletes can get paid.
Right.
How does that kind of typically work? Because some states have like age restrictions, right? In regards to some of, would that make sense?
Yeah. So some states haven't officially said that high school, you can pay a high school student. I think of it a little bit differently. Again, I go back to kids now have options. And this could be a little controversial, but my generation, maybe the generation right under my generation, it was harder for a scout to find you. You had to go to a school that had some noise.
Now you don't have to do that.
You have social media, you have Twitter, you have video editors, and so it's easier for a scout to find you. You also have camps at the colleges. I'm going to bust a lot of people's bubbles, and I apologize. But a lot of colleges, a lot of these D1 colleges have camps. And so a lot of times we have parents running all across America.
That's true.
Travel expenses when they can pay a quarter of that and go to the camp at the college in the summer, in June. That's the tip. So they have options now. So you don't always have to go to the hottest school. Now, does it help because the scouts know to go there? Yes. So I'm not saying there aren't benefits to that. What I'm saying is there are choices now. I can actually send a coach my tape and I go to a school somewhere in the burbs that don't have as much noise happening. So that having to have that funnel, I think, is not as strong or necessary as it used to be 3, 5, 10 years ago. And then the idea of students being able to manage money, truth be told, students have been making money off of the internet
For a long
since
time.
the internet has been out. Now, they're not telling you that because they're not paying taxes because they're underage.
Right.
This is not new. It's just new to this culture.
Right.
And so how did those students figure out how to make money and be in class? They made money and they were in class. That's what they did. And so I think that athletes are smart enough to be able to have a brand deal, make a social media post, wear the hoodie for whoever, talk about it, do a TikTok with their friends, post it up,
Boom.
and then get on the bus and go to school. They can multitask. We have them do homework, and go to the gym.
They doing all this stuff
at once. So I think we have our concern pointed in the wrong direction. We're more concerned about essentially how to stop them from making money than we are in supporting them on being able to make money so they can take care of themselves, which is mind-blowing to me. It's like, I want you to be a responsible adult, but I don't want you to have any experience in what it takes to be a responsible adult. I only want you to play.
Right.
Right, so they can do more than one thing. I think they're fully capable.
Yeah, because now you got, because my boy always tell me, he said, man, and it's one of my friends, he said, man, look, the coach can get up and leave and go where he wants to go. And there's no repercussion to happen to them. But if the kid decides he wants to transfer and do this, it's always repercussions. So I would say now these coaches and schools are really losing, I want to say, the words I was going to use, they losing grips on what they used to have. And now they have to kind of now we got to, we don't have as much leverage as we used to have.
And that's only going to be true. Let me say this. How to say the squeaky wheel gets the most attention. Coaches who are good humans, who are really there for their athletes, who really know how to get people to be winners, players want to be around. Look at what's happening to Deion Sanders, right? People are not following Deion Sanders to Colorado because the weather's good, right? Right, they're following
that is good.
Like, oh man, he is about the students. He puts people on. He makes things better.
He said that.
So coaches who have that type of heat are gonna always be able to have players who really want to make it. People are smart. People are gonna go where they feel like they have benefit and advantages. The coaches that's having the hardest time, who are so worried about their recruits, are coaches who haven't really been there for the students, or who not really to expose their hand in.
Now we talking.
So athletes who want to win want to go where there are winners. They want to go where they're taken care of. Deion Sanders has out loud said, "Don't ask me about NIL money." Out loud, right? And people are still going over there. So I don't think that coaches who really got it like that, who are really about the students, who really know how to make students winners, should be worried.
Yeah, like the Nick Sabans and the Deion Sanders, those guys, they pretty much got it made. But these other ones is kind of sitting back and, like you said, kind of old fogies, kind of like.
Yeah, and students talk. If the coach is a good coach and they're like, man, he puts you on, he talks to you, he cares, he checks on you. Students talk to students. And another thing that colleges should be aware of, students are your best recruiters. So if your program is great, if you treat your students well, if your athletes love you, if they follow you to the ends of the earth, they're going to tell their little brothers, their little cousins, when they go back home in the summertime and they go to camps, because they do, you should go to such and such a school. So I think the angst that's happening with coaches, you might want to see if their coach is like that for real.
Man. I'm in the wrong business. I'm in the wrong business. No, and you did all of this based off just research?
Research, talking to people. I think what I bring to the table that is rare in this space, so I have been told, is I care about the business side of the sport where a lot of other people care about the sport of the sport. Right? So they can only see how to make the player run fast, jump high, and what's the disadvantages if they're not solely concentrating on running fast and jumping high. And because my brain thinks business first, I think about, okay, if they were my employee and I wanted them to do better, how do I have to incentivize them to do better?
Okay.
And if
That
an
makes sense.
incentive to me doesn't always come out of my pocket. An incentive to me is providing like an environment of stability where they feel comfortable. So if NIL is a way for a student to take care of themselves, if they feel comfortable, if that takes the edge off, they can come to work better, right? That's the benefit. And so I think that in thinking that way, I can understand the benefit to the students, and I understand the needs of the colleges and I understand the institution that you want a better employee. You want the student to jump fast or to jump high and run fast. You have to get them there in a way that is not, and I'm gonna threaten you to get there because they have choices now.
Right.
Right, they have options.
You need to be an agent. You need to see some type of, not even much of an agent, but some type of advocate. No, seriously, because, I mean, this is really good. This is really good because, like you said, now with this transfer portal and a lot of other stuff like that, and a lot of these kids that are going into this stuff, like you said, unless you have a serious following or something like that, you may not be able to get what you see some of these other kids get. So I'm seriously, no, you guys definitely need to hit Joy up because, like I said, this ain't the last you're gonna hear from me.
Yeah, and this is another myth that people think, oh, I have to have a bajillion followers to get a brand deal. And you know, one of the things I use my own son as a guinea pig because I can't because I'm his parent. And so he plays rec ball. Again, he's in middle school, so not ball necessarily for a school. He plays rec ball, but I wanted to make sure I can always co-sign what I talk about. And he got 2 brand deals, and I made a competition with myself to say, okay, how long does it take me to get him a brand deal? And my goal was to get him 3 brand deals in 7 days. That was my goal. I got him 2 brand deals in 4 days. And so, and he doesn't have a bajillion followers. He plays rec ball, right? So he doesn't play for a school that's doing things.
Locally.
Right. He's in middle school. And so, just like any other influencer, it's a thing that's real. And I think, again, because parents aren't aware, because it's not the job of coaches and athletic directors to help you figure out how to make money.
Right.
Their job description is to make the team win so that they can have sponsorships. That's their job.
That is true.
And I think, yes, that's what their job should be. I'm not against that. But if we can educate more parents and students to say, hey, like while you're scrolling, let's figure out how to make money off of that swipe that you're doing so that it benefits you, I think everyone can be the better for it.
Ladies and gentlemen, Joy Harris.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, this was something, because when I talked to Marcus about this, probably had to be sometime in early February, he was like, man, and like I said, we was talking about Mondo, about, you know, his NIL deals. I think he had just got Dunkin' Donuts or something like that. He's like, man, I know somebody perfect that you can talk to and you get him on here, man, and stuff like that. So, ladies and gentlemen, again, Mrs. Joy Harris, I thank you. I'm sure there's probably a ton of more information. We probably can do this all day.
Yeah.
But again, just one more time, can you just read off and how people can actually get in touch with you again for the people who didn't do that?
So all socials, The Joy Harris, or you can send an email at contact@scorecon.com. And because I always like to put people on as much as possible, if you're trying to figure out where do I start with a brand deal or how do I get a brand deal, I always say an affiliate program is your lowest hanging fruit. An affiliate program is simply when people are looking at your stuff or the YouTubers that you watch and you hear them say, use my code X, Y, and Z hashtag to get 20% off. That's an affiliate program.
Oh, okay.
Have
that
affiliate program.
Right.
Tons of brands have affiliate
like extra 20% off and blah, 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 blah.
Right. You can email me and I'll put you on. But you can look at your favorite brands, right? Scroll down to the bottom of their page. They'll have partner program, affiliate program, brand program. Click it. Typically, it's an application. Fill out the application and then wait and see if you get accepted. And if you get accepted, they typically give you a code. And every time somebody clicks on the code or uses your code in that checkout process, you get a kickback. You get a small piece of money. Now, it's not $100,000, right?
Make that clear.
But it'll take you 5 minutes. And 5 minutes, and then you just say, hey, use my code such and such if you want to, and you can get paid off of that for months and months and months. it's not a bad trade-off. It's
No.
more than you would make at your average fast food place. So that's like a tip. That's something that you can actually do today.
And we're going to end on that note. I told you we was going to get her in here, but I'm telling you, if anybody has any information, athletes, please contact Joy.
Please.
You know, she's on Instagram. She's on all the social media sites she just gave you. Please contact her. And the parents, I'm sure that who's actually have the child's best interest, because we do have a lot of parents that I know that's actually, you know, on top of what their kids do. Email her, because I'm sure, like you said, you're not going to kind of take all of this in, and I'm pretty sure there's more information that she can give you that we really didn't cover today. Joy, I want to thank you for stopping by and just getting this information out today, because this was very informative for me. Like I said, I'm definitely going to just keep in contact with you and use you as a resource, because, you know, so many people come ask you so much stuff, but you really don't know what you need until you need it.
Right.
So I just want to thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so again, everybody, this is Joey Harris from Score Brand. And, you know, for me, I always say, before we get up out of here, please make sure you like, subscribe, you know, get the notifications on our content, because this is how we keep the lights on, how we pay the bills at BallinVA Morrisette Media, and we are out. Okay, y'all. You know, go over and make sure that y'all check out my man, RickStockel.com for any of your home buying needs. Appreciate it. Thanks again.